So we're at the Lotus Temple. We're not actually allowed to go inside because coronavirus. There are silver linings to coronavirus. If the Taj was to close, you'd be...
My loss. People going to eat each other.
Our adventures could be over a lot sooner than we expected. We're in the midst of this whole coronavirus outbreak. I thought I would do a little video of what's actually happening in India and how it's affecting our travel, really. We are currently in Delhi, the capital of India. It's India. It's always busy, it's always chaotic, it's always a bit mental. So it's kind of hard to see a difference, whereas I think in Europe or other countries you would see that the streets seem visibly quieter, more shops are shut. Here, not so much. So basically yesterday India announced that they are cancelling all visas. So basically unless you're Indian you now can't enter India, which means that hotels and hostels and everything have lost so many bookings, and the manager here was saying like they've lost like 70% of their bookings in 24 hours. But because of that, they upgraded our room for us. There are silver linings to coronavirus. But you definitely do see a lot less tourists walking around. The guest house we're staying in right now is very empty, and the owner said that it's massively affected their bookings.
Does it affect you not having tourists?
Yes, of course. Yeah. This program was just like a small man who just every day work to make money, like me. The government they don't care about for like small people.
Yeah, it's difficult.
It's very difficult, very hard for working.
We hope for your sake that it doesn't cancel and people can still come here and...
Oh, it's not closing now.
Close any moment. No closed. But maybe the government should be closed because the virus is very dangerous for us.
Is this your only job?
Yeah, only this.
If the Taj was to close, you'd be...
My loss. No pay, government not pay me.
Yeah.
I only own worker.
I don't think the average person in India thinks, the average person being someone who is quite poor and lives in quite a sheltered life with a big family, and they're very community based, so unless it's directly affecting their community right now, I don't think they really think about it. And they definitely live day to day or week to week. I don't think they think further ahead in the future. They think, I'm not sick right now, so it's okay.
Not right now, there may not be a big problem. There's only 70 cases, but you know, it's after those cases disappear when business is disrupted. There doesn't have to be an outbreak of coronavirus in a country to affect it.
Up until a few days ago, I don't think I'd really given coronavirus a second thought. It just hadn't affected us in any way. I mean, a lot of people are wearing like the face masks. A temple we went to in Delhi last week was partially closed because of coronavirus, but other than that, we've not noticed a change really at all. However, unless you're an Indian national, you can't come into India anymore. I've got a friend in Mumbai and she says that Mumbai is pretty much going into lockdown. They've closed nightclubs, lots of restaurants, spas, things like that have all closed down in Delhi. They've said all gatherings of over 50 people should be avoided. Apart from weddings, still allowed to have a good old wedding. Things are starting to change now, and there's definitely kind of an underlying tone of what do we do? There's now talk of stopping all domestic travel going through India, which would obviously make travelling India quite tricky. And I don't think they fully had the hit of no tourists yet because it's only been a couple of days since they stopped the visas. There's obviously still quite a lot of tourists in the country. But I think in 2 weeks' time, when all those people on a 2-week holiday are going home, that's when it will make a big difference. For you, in your travel agency, is it quiet?
It is very quiet. Especially this main bazaar is full of backpacker travelers. People are just coming back from south, north, come to Delhi. They have flights and they just make little shopping and running away. They don't care about the dying with this coronavirus. They are worried about big families. You know, in India it's a culture. They have 10, 15 people in one family, and 1 or 2 or 3 people working. And it's only 1 month. If it will be like a 1, 2 months, 3 months, really it will be like a
huge problem.
Not problem. People going to eat each other. In Europe they have something we don't have.
You were saying before something really interesting, that people are going to die more from not having the tourists, not having the money, and then starving to death, or not having anywhere to live, not paying rent, things like that. People are more likely to suffer from that than suffer from the virus.
A big problem here. Very rich, very poor.
Yeah, they work day by day.
Yes, We do here everything day by day. We go in the morning, we make something and eat evening.
Yeah. For us personally, we plan to go to Nepal in about 2 weeks' time, and now Nepal have just announced that they have closed all their land borders. The only way you can get into Nepal now is to fly into Kathmandu airport. And a friend of ours is there now and says he is now actually stuck in Nepal. They won't let him back into India. And we are just kind of having to think now, what will we do if either one of us catches coronavirus, or if India just goes into lockdown and we either need to get out or we need to go into quarantine. So far we've been staying in hostels and guest houses. They would no longer be a sensible option. Hospitals would fill up extremely quickly and they'd be very expensive, and in this sort of situation our insurance is being extremely vague with the information they're giving us as to whether we would be covered, what we would get, what they would do, because I genuinely don't think they actually know. I think the scariest thing in India right now is that if it does start to spread, it will spread fast here and it will be impossible to control. Everybody lives in such close quarters here. There's families of 12, 15 people, sometimes more, living in a tiny house. There's so many homeless people living on the streets. People travel en masse on trains. It's such a crowded country that there would be no way of controlling it. They wouldn't be able to put people into quarantine like they have in China and Italy. There'd be just not the facilities to do that. And they definitely don't have the facilities to provide healthcare to all the people that would need it. Another thing we've noticed in the past 2 days is that now Europe is going into lockdown. It's gone crazy with coronavirus. We're now the epicenter of the virus, that we as foreigners are now being seen as the people with coronavirus. Before it was the Chinese. Now people see us and they're saying, oh, coronavirus. They're covering their mouths and their noses as we walk past. They're crossing the street to get away from us. We have met a lot of people who are getting out of India, cancelling their trips. They're either going to other countries that are not necessarily lower risk, but would be more convenient if they were to catch the virus or be stuck there, or they're just getting out and going back home. We arrived in Jaisalmer in Rajasthan. I got a text about 2 o'clock this morning whilst we were on the train from my dad in the UK, and he said Europe has basically just gone a bit mad. Coronavirus has obviously hit there pretty hard now, and we don't know how long coronavirus is going to be around for. We are massively turning towards the idea that a flight back to the UK very soon might be the safest and best and kind of most sensible option. So even though we've just got an 18-hour train all the way out of Delhi, we're gonna maybe have to look into getting back there actually and getting out of India while we still can. Our adventures could be over a lot sooner than we expected. We've made the decision that we're definitely going to leave India and we're going to head back to England. We're actually quite lucky that we can still get back there for now. We booked a flight for Friday night, so it's now Tuesday. So in like 3 days time, I think it's definitely for the best to get out. Every cafe and restaurant, bar, anything in Delhi is either closed or they're only open for takeaways. Delhi is getting onto serious lockdown now. We got an email this morning saying our flight had been cancelled and rescheduled for 5 a.m. on Sunday morning. You can definitely tell a big difference now. Even on the train was so much quieter, a lot of people wearing a lot more masks. We saw military at every single train station on the way here. That's how things are kind of unfolding here. It's relatively calm still, I think. But I think if things were to spread quickly, the country would go into chaos. But we'll see how things unfold.